What's up everybody, my name's Seth, and today we're going to be comparing this Ibanez JEM to this Ibanez PIA. Before we get going into the comparison, I just want to say a quick thank you to Josh and Noah for loaning me their guitars, because without that, this video would not be possible, so thank you very much. For those of you who are unaware, the Ibanez JEM and PIA are both signature models for guitarist Steve Vai, with the JEM being first introduced in the late 1980s and the PIA being introduced in 2020. This particular Ibanez JEM is actually one of the newer JEM 7 VP models, which is made in Indonesia, whereas the PIA I have here is made in Japan. Spec-wise, these two guitars have quite a bit of overlap. Both guitars feature alder bodies as well as maple and walnut necks. Both guitars also feature Goto non-locking tuners and the Ibanez Edge tremolo system. In terms of differences, the JEM has an ebony fingerboard, whereas the PIA has a rosewood fingerboard. And the two guitars differ in terms of the pickups that they use. The JEM uses Steve Vai's original Evolution set, whereas the PIA uses the new Utopia set. Another key difference between these two guitars is that the frets on the JEM are made out of nickel, whereas the frets on the PIA are made out of stainless steel. The PIA also has a slightly flatter fingerboard radius than the JEM does, as well as having scalloped frets on frets 21 through 24. Another feature unique to the PIA is that the rear cavity cover is attached by magnets as opposed to screws, and this is honestly a really cool feature that I want to see on more guitars in the future. As far as quality control goes, both of these guitars are absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't really find any issues with either. Everything here works just like it should, there's no finish issues anywhere, and the fret ends are rounded off perfectly on both of these guitars, which is awesome, especially when you consider that the JEM is priced at about half of what the PIA is. In regards to how these two guitars play, there are some key differences. As I mentioned earlier, the fretboard radius of the PIA is slightly flatter than the one on the JEM, and even though this difference is slight, it's incredibly noticeable, with the PIA feeling significantly more flat than the JEM. The neck on the JEM also feels more rounded off to me in comparison to the PIA, which makes it seem like this neck is a little narrower, but according to Ibanez's website, both necks are the same width. Another interesting thing worth mentioning is that these two guitars feel very different up against your body when you're playing. Even though both guitars feature an arm contour and a tummy cut, all the edges on the PIA have been rounded off considerably, kind of similar to what you would see on a Strat style guitar, whereas the JEM is more similar to what you would see on a classic Ibanez RG, where even though it has those cutaways, all the edges are very, very sharp. Even with that though, I still think the JEM is a great playing guitar, and honestly I've had a lot of fun playing both of these guitars these last few weeks just trying to get this video done. Another thing worth mentioning is that there is a difference in feel between the nickel frets on the JEM and the stainless steel frets on the PIA. On the PIA, I felt like bends were a little bit more smooth than on the JEM, but these frets have been polished really well, so I don't think you could really go wrong with either. I just generally tend to prefer stainless steel frets myself. Sound-wise, these two guitars have some pretty key differences, but I'll let you listen to some sound clips before I tell you my own thoughts. So, with all those sound clips out of the way, how do you guys feel about the way these two guitars sounded? To me, it sounded like the PIA had noticeably more output and low end, as well as having a slightly more rounded off high end in comparison to the JEM. All in all though, I think both guitars sound great and there's not an objective winner. It's just gonna boil down to whatever works better for whatever style of music you play. So with all that said, these are my final thoughts on these two guitars. I think these are both great playing and great sounding guitars, and honestly I've had a lot of fun playing them both these last few weeks. If I was gonna buy one of these guitars for myself, I think I'd save up and try to get the PIA just because I slightly prefer the way it looks over the JEM, and I also really like stainless steel frets over nickel frets. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm a little sad that these two guitars have to go back to their rightful owners, but honestly this has just kind of reaffirmed my belief that I need an Ibanez of my own. So, thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. I hope it was at least a little bit entertaining and interesting, or useful, preferably, since I've never tried to make a video like this before, so let me know what you thought down in those comments below, please. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking it and subscribing to the channel, since I'm really trying to grow the channel as much as I possibly can. If you check the description box down below, you'll find links to my social media accounts if you're interested in following me across platforms, as well as links to other ways that you can help support this channel if you're inclined to do so. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one.